and welcome to another episode of the Marco Podcast.
Today, I am speaking with Catharine O'Leary, and Catharine is known as the Quiz Queen. Did you know that 80% of the carefully crafted checklists, blueprints, and ebooks that you may be using to attract your ideal clients are never opened after they are downloaded? Well, we're in luck because today's guest, as I said, is the Quiz Queen. Over the last 3 decades, Catharine has worked with Fortune 100 companies, helping them build brands and grow businesses through market research and consumer insight. She now helps entrepreneurs create an ideal client attraction system by asking the best questions to attract the best client. As Catharine says, every good conversation starts with a great question, not a sales pitch. So are you ready to learn how to attract the best and release the rest? So I'm super excited to have Catharine here today, and I just found out that before we started recording that she is a fellow Potterhead and a fellow Gryffindor. So I'm excited about all the Potterheads that I'm getting on the show. So Catharine, welcome. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Oh, thank you, Angel. And hello, everyone. I am very excited to be here and to be with you, Angel, who is, Harry Potter, not only a fan of the movies, but I found out also a fan of the books, which hooked me right away. So
yes, that's very rare to. Awesome. Well, is there anything else you would like to share before we get started?
No, I'm excited to be here and talk about how people can attract their ideal clients by just getting a little more curious about what's going on.
Okay. So I am really excited about this conversation because I definitely need that. I'm getting ready to do a email opt-in. And so I've been wondering about what to do. And I was like, wait, I have the Quiz Queen coming on my podcast. So let me hold off until we get to that point. So, well, Catharine, how long have you been an entrepreneur?
Off and on, probably about 10 years. I started, much like you, Angel, I started in direct marketing and network marketing. So I did a little bit of the Alouette, the parties and so on, the makeup and the face care.
Okay.
Because I just knew that there had to be a way that you could build a business, online potentially, or at least, on your own time.
Right.
Without going the corporate route. So I dabbled here and there, mostly hobby, like, to be honest, being a hobbyist. And then when my last market research and consumer insights corporate job was with Pepsi. And that was great. It was fantastic. We had a global restructuring that I ended up being made redundant. So took the package, decided that I wanted to, not commute 3 hours a day anymore. And wanted to kind of really dive in and get into that entrepreneurial side of things. And that was just before COVID. So that was probably 2018, 2019.
Okay.
When it became more of a full-time.
Okay. Cool. Yeah. Awesome. And so how did you get into this field? Like, how did you become the Quiz Queen?
Right. So I didn't grow up wanting to be the Quiz Queen. I wanted to be the Wolf of Wall Street because, that was way cooler.
Exactly.
But I got actually into market research and consumer insights. I have a degree, 2 degrees in economics. As an economist, it was all about consumer behavior and why people do the things that they do. Why do they choose the red car instead of the blue car when they're the exact same car other than the color? Like what is it that, makes people buy phone over that phone? Like, is it the megapixels on the camera? Is it
Right.
the cover on the data, coverage on the plant, whatever it is. And that I got into that. And for 30 years, I actually measured, different techniques, exactly how much people were willing to pay for different features on things like phones and financial services. And all that to say that I asked a whole lot of questions of a whole lot of people over the last 30 years and basically translated that information into corporate talk. So into product innovation or into sales conversations. And what I found when I became an entrepreneur, and I started doing this for myself, was that I absolutely sucked at lead generation. Spent a whole lot of time on sales calls trying to convince people that they need. I mean, I was selling personal development at that time. I mean, how hard should that be?
Right.
It was quite hard.
Yeah.
Because I was talking to the wrong people. And the thing that I realized is that I spent a whole lot of time talking at people instead of talking with them because I wasn't asking any questions. I spent my whole career in corporate asking people what they wanted, needed, and desired. And then I went off on my own and I asked nothing. I just started kind of shoving these products down people's throats, and obviously
Right.
that wasn't working. I kind of had to figure it out, right? It was either go back to 3 hours of driving in corporate, to get back down to where the jobs were in the city, or I had to figure it out. And people were doing it. People were spending time online, building businesses. There had to be a way to do this. So I decided to dig my heels in, stick with it,
Okay.
because as you've said before, entrepreneurship is no easy ride. It's you're in it for the long haul,
Right.
if you're in it. So I decided to figure it out, and what I figured out was that I wasn't being curious enough, and I wasn't asking any questions. And once I started asking questions around where people were, where they were in their in their journey, what the problem was that they had to solve, like I had all these gaps in trying to connect with my ideal client because I wasn't communicating well. And once I started asking questions, I was able to connect with them. And once I started to being able to connect and build relationships, then you can start saying, well, I have this solution or I have this solution, as opposed to, do you have this problem? I have the solution. Just give me your credit card and you can find it. Like, we'll work it out. That's a little like proposing marriage on the first date, and it doesn't work.
It doesn't. I agree. Like you, oh my gosh, you just said so much in that statement, like just so many little nuggets of information, like talking about the lead generations and like paying for advertisements. I did that with my crafting business. Like I was on Facebook and it's like boost this post, and I'm like, okay, and I would boost the post and nothing would come from it. And I'm just like, well, I just wasted this money on doing this. And then when I was in the direct sales, constantly checking to see if I had any leads, or then somebody would give you a lead, then you're calling and you're trying to follow up. And with me, I'm like, okay, I tried calling twice. You didn't respond. I'm done. Everybody's like, no, you got to keep calling them. And I'm just like, well, obviously they're not interested anymore. So I get that it's frustrating and it's time consuming as well. Very, very time consuming.
And it can suck the life force out of you.
It really can.
like really.
It really can just suck everything out of you, and you're just like, okay, and that's when you're just like, I'm done, I'm throwing in the towel. So
Yeah.
And one more thing that you said that I wanted to touch on for a minute, you said about cars. Why do people choose like different color cars over certain ones? So that made me think about when I went to go buy my car, and I was like, this is how much I want my monthly payment to be, and they were trying to work something out with me, and there's like, well, maybe you can change the color. Do you want to get like a white or a black? And I'm like, no, I want the color that I want. So the color of my car, it's I have a RAV4, and Toyota calls it Lunar Rock. It looks like a greenish grayish color to me.
Yep, I know exactly the color. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. You know what I'm talking about. Okay. So what makes people, like, I just picked it. Me personally, I felt like I picked it because that's like in my favorite color, like shades of my favorite color. But what makes people pick the red car over the blue one when it's the exact same?
Well, it depends on whether or not that's something important to you. So for you,
Okay.
it was important, and for you, it was something that you're willing to pay for. Other people might not be willing to pay for that. Like I walked in when I bought my Grand Am a long time ago. When I walked in and said I want a car that works, because at the time I didn't have one that worked and it was driving me bonkers.
Okay.
And I was like, I don't care if it's purple with pink polka dots, as long as the damn thing works, I'm good.
Right.
Like I'm done. I don't care. For that car, I didn't care, but when I, upped my game a little bit and was able to get into the, a higher end car, I cared more. So it just kind of depends on what's important to you in the time, but also relatively what else is being included. So, like maybe 4-wheel drive and the color car is about equal, but you live in an area that really need 4-wheel drive, and maybe that one edges out the color. So there's a lot of things that people in their heads, they make those decisions very quickly, but there's a way that you can parse that out and really kind of get to, people will pay X% more for this color, or X% more for this megapixel out of a camera. And that's what Apple and HP and Adobe and even financial services, what's in your checking account. That's how they make those decisions sometimes, is by actually getting those they're called utilities, and figuring that out. That's higher level analytics, but
right.
But at the same time, if you're an entrepreneur and you're trying to talk to people about, taking a course, and really what they want is you to do it for them, well, then you should be talking about how you can do it for them, right? And as opposed to doing trying to sell a course to somebody that's like, look, here's my checkbook. Like, I just want you to do it. Like, I just want you to make the tote bag for me.
Okay.
I just want you to like I don't want to learn how to do it. I don't want to sew. Like, I don't want to do that. Like,
right.
You just go off and make my branding merchandise, like whatever that looks like, right?
Okay.
But don't try to sell me the course then.
Gotcha.
You haven't asked me the question of what I actually want, even though at the end of the day I want the tote bag, right? So like, where in the journey am I that I can help plug into? Or if I can't, then who can I refer you to?
Okay.
Right? So like, maybe I don't do the done with you or done for you stuff. Well, I know somebody that does. So you know what? You should talk to my friend Angel. She'll make you the tote bags, and then we have, a collaboration partnership or something like that.
Right. Okay. Cool. Awesome. Well, thank you for giving us that insight. I appreciate it. So my next question for you, what are the 3 biggest gaps in client communication that are stopping businesses from attracting more clients now?
Yeah, so basically, if you think about the ideal client that you want to have in your business, and it's really important that people really niche down, and you're going to hear about it in entrepreneurship, that you need to niche down and really understand your ideal client. Because if you just say, I serve entrepreneurs, right, that's a really big pool of people with a lot of different problems and solutions and so on. So one of the things that I like to do is have people sit down and think through, what is the 3 a.m. question that your clients are waking up with in their business that you can help them solve? But not only what the question is, what's it in their language? Like, what are they waking up thinking? Like, what are the words that they're waking up and thinking of? Because I can tell you that, if I talked about client attraction systems or quiz funnels, right? And that's the only 2 people in the world that are probably waking up with the words quiz funnels in their head.
Because the word funnel, I hear the word funnel and I'm like, I'm done. Nope,
I'm out. I'm out.
I give up.
I'm waking up with that as my nightmare, not as my, what I'm thinking of, right? So,
exactly.
So, my clients wake up thinking, how do I get more quality leads, right? Like, how do I get something on autopilot so I'm not doing all this stuff all the time?
Yes.
Right. So that's their frustration. So that's what I need to be thinking of when I'm creating a lead, whatever your lead magnet is, whatever your messaging is, whenever you're talking to your clients, you want to talk to your ideal client about the 3 a.m. question that they're having. So that's one of the biggest gaps that people tend to gloss over a little bit. They go to the solution that they have and then talk about the solution, but that's usually not the way the problem is actually talked about with the people that are having the problem. So, because don't forget, if you've got the solution, you're on the other side of the problem. You're talking about it in a totally different way, right? So using your clients, language and getting into their 3 a.m. question, like, what is that 3 a.m. I jolt up, I'm awake, I think, what is your ideal client? And if there are more than one question that you come up with, you probably haven't niched down far enough. So, they could be thinking this or this or this or this. Okay, wait. What's the one thing that you're trying to solve them? Because that one thing is probably pretty big, right? It could be maybe for a business coach, maybe it's getting people from 6 to 7 figures, right? So, I'm waking up going, how do I get there? How do I get to $1 million? That's a bigger question. That's a big question.
Right.
That has to do with mindset and systems and teams and delegation and leadership. Right? There's a lot going on in that question, but wow, that's like, I don't even know where to start with you then. Right? Like, what's the one thing that you're trying to solve?
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah,
no, that definitely makes sense. And that just had me thinking about like my business and what I do. So I've shifted to doing more like public
Yep.
relations and helping small business owners get educated on public relations. And public relations is just a whole broad range of things. And so it's like, okay, I can't help you with every aspect of it. So then I had to kind of, like you said, niche down and be like, okay, what aspects of it do I want to help you with? And listening to you, I'm wondering if I'm like thinking about it more from a solution standpoint now
Mm.
versus a problem standpoint of what the problem that my ideal clients actually have.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what I said. I was really excited to talk to you because you've got the wheels in my head turning, and I'm like, okay, well, did I think about it like this? So that leads into the next question: how do we close?
That's a great question. So for the 3 a.m. gap, it's actually honestly like talk to your ideal clients. That's the
Okay.
easiest thing that you can do, right? So there are ways. Say if you're in a Facebook group that is all your ideal clients, like you have or you have your own group that has your ideal clients. Up in the top left-hand corner of the chat, there's a search bar. You can search different terms like trouble with, or is anyone having challenges with, or I'm having a problem. Like find out what the chatter is. Like find out what people are asking about. Like does anyone know? Put those kind of search terms into any Facebook group that you can see the chat. You can see what people have posted around. Does anyone know how to?
Right. Yeah, I've done that a couple of times before. Yeah, I've done that before. Like I've gone to the search and I'm like, okay, whether it's for something that I'm looking for because I need a solution to a problem that I have, or whether it's me trying to be the solution to someone's problem. So that is one feature that I'm very familiar with there. Yes.
Right. And so, you can see what they're typing. You can see like how are they framing it? How are they phrasing it? What words are they using? So be mindful of how they're putting it out there, right? You can also search in Google, like put your topic into Google, see what comes up, right? So you're going to see a lot of ads that come up first. Well, are those your competitors, or is that like just wonky? Like, is that like off to like no, that's not right. That's not that's not what I actually do, right? Because for example, when I put in lead generation into Google, it comes up with a lot of like direct marketing agencies and buy leads. And, we have these lists to buy. That's not what I do. I teach entrepreneurs how to actually create their own client attraction system. So it's not lead generation because that's more of a tactical numbers. Here's a list of 10,000 people.
Right.
As opposed to ideal client attraction, which is get to know your client, build relationships, and then go to that next level. So put your topic into Google, see what comes up. Are you using the right language? Like almost reverse engineer, try to find out, if you're using the right language for yourself. Is what Google is coming up with makes sense to you? And then, look a little deeper. Who is the sponsors ads? Like, what comes up on page 2 and page 3, and what kind of terminology is going on there. Also, when you do a Google search on your topic, up in the top, there are modules like almost like little file folders. One for images, one for YouTube. There's one for new. You can see who's writing about your topic.
I never thought about using that one.
Is Forbes writing about it? Entrepreneur Magazine, Inc., Success, Inc.com. Maybe it's Atlantic Monthly. Maybe it's Oprah.com. But who's actually got news articles? You can actually start building a publication list, like journalists to reach out to about your topic. When you see something, you can reach out to them and kind of say, hey, you know what? I also talk on this and that was interesting. Here's my take. So it's another thing that you can be doing. So to kind of fill that 3 a.m. gap, you can talk to your ideal clients. 2, find out what they're asking about and things like Facebook. 3, find out what they're searching for on Google. Number 4 is find out what they're reading on Amazon. Amazon is the largest bookstore in the world. Put your topic into Amazon and find out how many books have been written or released in the last 90 days. The really good thing about that is that their summaries, they have already spent all the time and money figuring out the keywords. So what are they using for the keywords about the topic? And then of course, go on to Spotify and Apple iTunes, or not iTunes anymore, but Apple Music, and find out what podcasts are being listened to, right? You can put in your topic into a podcast and see what comes up. It's not quite as searchable per se, because it might, client attraction might come up as all business, for
Right.
example. But it'll give you some ideas, and then like, who else is talking about your talk, right?
Okay.
Where else can you be on a podcast? Who else has a podcast about what you're talking about? They've had somebody else on, that I have a different take on that, or
Right.
I have a different point of view. Would love to talk to you about it.
Okay. I like that. Like, that's such good information and just things that you don't even think about, because I go to Google all the time. Like, if you look at my search history, majority of my search history is me typing something into Google, and I rarely, if ever, actually go past the first page. I've just now gotten to the point where I'll kind of like click on the image button at the top. But other than that, I don't click on any of the other links on top. So I never even thought about that or considered it. But that's a whole nother avenue, a whole nother, alley that hasn't been explored yet that you can check out, and that can help give you some more insight onto. A lot of times that first page of Google is just a bunch of fluff, as you said, and you're just like, okay, and you have to
Or
deep dive.
ads or snippets.
Right.
You also look at things like people also asked.
Right. Okay.
Right. So
Yes.
in Google, like it'll come up with, oh, well, if you're searching for this, people also asked about this, this, and this. So, I mean, it's just ways to get the languaging. The best way, of course, is to talk to your ideal client. Ask them straight up, about, when it comes to business on this, so like this particular part of your business, what are you waking up worried about? And then that helps your messaging for your landing pages, for your emails, for your, like, for everything that's to your ideal clients that you want to be working with and want to be buying.
Do you have any tips on if someone is struggling with finding their ideal client, on how they can find their ideal client?
Well, everyone always says go to Facebook groups and so on. If you're really struggling to find your ideal client, my question to you is, how are you going to market to them and build a business if you can't find them to talk to them?
Okay.
So, if I would say that they're get creative, look at the books, look at who's talking to who's on podcasts, who's, Angel talked to so and so, talked to so and so, like it's all 6 degrees to somebody, right? So
Right.
you can find people to be talking to, read a lot of, like, maybe somebody's been interviewed in an article that can help you out, in the sense of you can read the article and
Right.
what they were talking about. But yeah, like they're, just get creative and be open to new ways to find them.
Okay. Cool. And so, what's the gap that you are struggling with the most?
I would say, so there are, we only talked really about the 3 a.m. gap here. There's also, I think everyone is, I mean, they're all really super important, but I think that always building your authority and making sure that you are being the expert in your industry, not just an expert, but always coming across, as the person with the tips and the tricks and the fun little things like the news flag on Google to help people out. And then I always, every probably 6 months to a year, depending on the industry, I always try to go back and just make sure I've got my 3 a.m. problem still defined correctly.
Okay.
Just to make sure that the language hasn't changed or people haven't kind of moved on. And we're kind of talking about something else now, or just to keep on top of that messaging.
Okay. So, just kind of like a check-in for it.
Just a
So,
check-in, yeah.
okay. Okay, cool. So now, and I may be wrong, I don't know, but when I was scheduling the interview with you and it said the quiz queen, the first thing that popped into my mind was, I was thinking like one of those quizzes that you go and take and then it tells you, oh.
Long answer is, I do those, but only in the sense that they actually attract your ideal client to your business. So by using the 3 a.m. question of, and let's Angel, let's just create your quiz right now. So
Okay.
your business, public relations.
Yes.
Tell me about your client's 3 a.m. question.
My client's 3 a.m. question would be, how do they get there? Because I focus with small business owners. So how do they get their business to stand out? They're a small fish in a big pond.
Okay. So maybe it's, what's your visibility score?
Okay.
How to, what's the number one thing stopping you from standing out more? Well, the second one for sure could be like a type, right? Like, so what's the number one thing stopping you? Is it exposure? Is it confidence because you don't want to be in front of video, or you don't, you're not willing to get out there and market? Just lack of ideas, like you're just not sure how to start, right? So the person A, the type A is maybe the person that just doesn't know how to start. Great. Here's how to start. Here are the 3 things that you can do to start right now. And if you want some more information, let's hop on a call and talk to Angel, and Angel can tell you more about this. Or maybe, the one thing stopping you from growing your small business is exposure, right? Great. Here are 2 or 3 things that you can do right now as a small business to increase your exposure tomorrow, if you want to learn more. So it's your lead magnet that starts with the problem that they have to solve. Ask them a couple of questions about where they're at and what they're struggling with. Answers the part of the problem that they say that they're struggling with. You're going to tell them all about all the other ones too, but that's fine, right? But you're meeting your clients where they're at that moment, which, for one person is exposure, for another person it's I don't know how to start. And then they all get invited to talk to you or your webinar or your, sales page or whatever, whatever that next step looks like. But now you've built up in, 5 to 8 questions or less, you built up, oh, Angel knows what she's talking about. Angel's the authority.
Okay.
Right?
So you built that trust with them.
You got that know, like, and trust.
Right. You got the know, like, and trust. Okay, cool. And then this also can flow into an email opt-in as well, correct?
They actually don't get their results of what's stopping them unless they give you their email.
Gotcha. Okay, yes.
And then what you can do is customize your email follow-up. You're a person that doesn't know where to start. So let's continue that conversation. Here's another, here's a 4th bonus tip on how you can start, right? Or you're the person that needs to figure out, how to get more exposure. Okay, well, have you ever gone to the county fall fair?
Okay.
Making it up. But,
right.
This is how you do that, or this is how you make the most of a vendor booth at a fair or a show, like a farmer's market or something like that.
Okay, got you.
If you want more information, hop on a call with Angel.
Okay, cool. Awesome. Yeah. I love it. Well, okay. Well, is there anything else that you would like to share? Any more tips, inside nuggets, or anything like that?
Oh my gosh, we could talk about client attraction and gaps all day long. But if you're listening to this and you want to understand maybe what your client attraction gap is and how to kind of shore it up and bridge it now, you can just go to quizformybiz.com. You can take the quiz, and it will tell you, maybe what your priority is and how to help you do that. And it's also the way to get on my calendar. So quizformybiz.com. You can find me there.
Okay. And do you have Instagram, Facebook, or anything like that you would like to share for everyone to connect with you?
I do. I have Facebook and Instagram. It's COL. I think it's COL Ireland, actually. In Facebook, and it's Quiz Queen on Instagram.
Okay, and I'll definitely link those in the show notes too. I'll link all 3 of those in the show notes for everyone to be able to find you. So, well, Catharine, thank you so much for joining me today. I learned so much, and I'm excited to take some of these things and implement them in my business. So I know that my listeners are going to enjoy this and be excited to implement some of these things. So thank you so much. Make sure that you check out Catharine's podcast. It's called Kickstart the Conversation, and the podcast aims to provide insight and strategies for entrepreneurs to attract ideal clients and grow their business through leads, lists, and leverage. So make sure to check her out.
Thank you for listening. Please make sure to follow and rate the podcast whenever you listen.